Another couple minutes or go ahead and get started. Well, 1 minute. Oh, yeah. Wait. I think we still got 60 seconds. All right, that's okay. I'll wait till it actually, yeah, we're going. All right, we'll call the meeting to order at 5:30. First item on the agenda is roll call.
Kristen Runge,
Here.
Joe Zitzelberger,
Here.
Trisha Braun,
Here.
Brian Wallace,
Here.
Chris Zellner, Mike Steinle,
Here.
Sue Springman.
All right, second item on the agenda is minutes. Do we have any corrections or additions to the minutes? Seeing none, do we have a motion?
I'll move to, go ahead.
I'll move to approve the matter.
I'll second.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. And next up is public comment. Not a public comment, but I do have an announcement that Tracy, this is your last night with us. You are retiring at the end of the month, and on behalf of everyone that's worked with you over the years, developers, plan commissioners, colleagues, members of the public, I want to extend our thanks. You've been such an integral part of the success of the village and everything that you've done for us. So thank you. All right, and let's give you a round of applause. Yeah, for all you've done. Thank you, Tracy. Do we have any public comments? All right, anyone online that would like to make a public comment? If you would like to make a public comment and you're zooming in right now, just raise your hand and we will move you over to make a comment. All right, seeing none. Oh, hi, Sue. Let's move on to business items. Business item number 1, discuss and take action on a request by Jordan, and Allison Camps for a certified survey map combining lots 36 and 37 in Golden Ponds addition to Westbridge. And this is an item for recommendation to the village board and something that came back to us from last plan commission.
Yeah, so last time, no one had any issues with the lot combination itself. We were just waiting on confirmation of easement releases from some of the utilities. We have received all but one of them, but it's in process. It just didn't come in before tonight. So staff has no problem with moving this forward.
All right, thank you. Do we have any questions on this item?
My only question would be on the motion. Do we still need to make anything qualified?
I would say no.
Okay.
All right, then I'll move to recommend approval of the certified survey map combining lots 36 and 37 of the Golden Ponds addition to Westbridge to the village board.
Second.
All right, all those in, and any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Item carries. Item number 2, discuss and take action on a request by Waunakee Remodeling for certified survey map to divide 1001 Frank H. Street into two lots, and this is an item for recommendation to the village board.
Yep, so this one is also coming back from last time. There were questions about the parking and whether parking would be sufficient. They do meet the minimum parking requirements. Both Tim Semin and I went over it and made sure that they meet the minimum parking requirements. So the condition that we would suggest in passing this is to record a parking and access easement between the two lots for any future use of the parking lots between the two lots.
All right. Do we have any questions on this item?
Just a quick, you said they do meet the requirements, but here it says that they would no longer if they sold off the lot. So is this what's accurate?
Oh, that must be a holdover from last time. No, they meet the minimums, but for them to have what would be considered sufficient parking, they currently used to both of the lots.
So I'm aware of that, but they're dividing
But-
it and they
yeah.
may either build a building or they might sell it. And if they sell it, they need to then,
Record a parking and access easement.
Right.
So that's why we're recommending that with the motion.
so they might not meet it if they don't do that.
Right.
Okay. I just want to make sure.
Any other questions? Seeing none, I'll make a motion to recommend approval of the requested 2-lot CSM, subject to the recording of an access and parking easement between the two lots.
I'll second.
Second. Go ahead.
Any discussion on the
Yeah,
motion?
fighting over these.
All right, seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item carries. All right, and item number 3, this item is, and thank you all for coming today. Discuss and take action on the site plan for a 4,698 square foot expansion to Ace Hardware at 205 South Century Avenue. And this is an item for final action by the Plan Commission.
Yep, so this is a site plan for roughly 4,700 square feet of expansion to Ace Hardware, as well as the relocation of their seasonal outdoor area to where the Christmas trees are usually sold in the winter, which there shouldn't be a conflict there because warm weather plants versus Christmas trees, they're different times of the year. There are a few minor engineering comments outstanding, but we're not worried about those. The main site plan issue, which you may not be able to act on, is the location of the liquid propane refueling tank on the west side of the building. Village ordinance currently requires it to be at least 10 feet away from the building and 10 feet away from a property line. So I'm not sure if they're able to comply with that and still maintain the fire access lane in the back. In which case they would need to get a variance from the Board of Appeals. So in this case, the motion would be to recommend conditional approval of the site plan pending final resolution of the outstanding notes to the satisfaction of the Community Development Director, which would also include potentially that variance from the Board of Appeals.
All right. Do we have anyone from Ace Hardware who's here?
Yes.
Yeah. And not so much questions about the site plan itself, but I'm wondering if you want to talk about the expansion that you're doing and walk us through it, just so we get an idea and the public gets an idea.
Good evening, Brad Conan with Schedule.
There we go. Good evening, Brad Conan with Sketchworks Architecture. We also have Russ Enders here with the owner of Village Mall. So I can speak a little bit to the expansion, and then if you have any questions for Russ, we're both here to answer any questions. So the expansion for Ace Hardware, Travis Kavinsky, the owner of our Ace Hardware, kind of identified that he needed to expand. Ace Hardware is going through kind of a multi-phase expansion for Ace itself. And they're looking to expand their offerings on the retail side. And so as part of that, one of Ace's goals is called Elevate. And part of that process is kind of elevated retail like Traeger, some brands. And so the interior will also be part of the renovation with the expansion. And so that's part of the brand management. And so he's identified kind of a need for expansion. And so as part of discussion with Russ, they looked at expansion internally with the mall and decided that ultimately, after having moved Subway and some of the other tenants recently, that an expansion to what was once the exterior location of the garden center would be an optimal place to expand the building to the north. Discussions ensued and said, okay, where are we going to put the garden center? We thought that out here, kind of in a lot where it's not, parking isn't always maxed out, would be a great utilization for that with a nice seasonal, a storage building, or not building, but a structure, as you can see there, which is very typical to kind of hardware stores, easily maintained. But then obviously in the winter would be then, your Christmas tree lot area. So that's what the expansion is. And then still maintaining the fire access lane to the north and those easements. And one of the comments or one of the things that we're working through currently with Rosemary Voss, who owns the O'Reilly's lot adjacent, is we're currently working through those easements. We have those drafted. We're just waiting for her signature. So we've been in contact with her in the last couple of weeks, and I think she's currently in Hawaii. So just waiting for her to return. So those are in process and ready to get signatures. The other piece of this is the propane storage filling tank. which currently is within that footprint of the kind of on the northwest corner. And that is it's something that's utilized by the village. It's utilized by the fire department and a lot of the local businesses. And it's something that that ACE would like to maintain. However, as noted, the setbacks are 10 foot from any building structure or property line. And based on the fire access lane that exists on the west side of the mall, there really isn't a great location that it would basically reside right in the middle of the lane. It's not really a fire access lane, but it's maintained as access to the back side of the building. And so there's really no other great location for that besides kind of the east parking lot, which we would prefer not to do just from a vehicular pedestrian, you know, more easily ran into. We'd have to protect it and build a structure. And so our preference would be is to build a what's called a blast wall built into the new construction of the hardware addition. And that would protect it from the new structure, and it wouldn't then be on near or closer to the pedestrian walkway or sidewalk. We have talked with the fire inspector, fire department, Mr. Adler. He actually recommends or approved that location. As of late, I talked with him today. I believe he had sent a correspondence late last week regarding that. So he does support that location. I believe, you know, from a variance process, if that's the process that needs to go through, we would pursue that. But looking at any other kind of location to meet those requirements of that 10 foot, I don't believe there is another location besides then the east parking lot that would be readily accessible by the staff of ACE Hardware and still be kind of a safe distance and a protected location other than the, you know, kind of the east parking lot or anything to the north. We are still trying to maintain that fire access easement to the north off of Klein Drive. Yeah, so that's kind of it. Expansion will kind of flow. We created larger openings within the interior of the building so that and Travis is working with ACE Hardware on the layout to make sure that this flows and is a continuous retail environment. So that's very open and inviting. And from an exterior materials, if we can flip maybe to the exterior, I know that was one of the initial comments that we had with staff. Was on the north side of the building, really trying to make that a little bit more inviting architecturally. And so we've included a little bit more architectural design, even though there's a lot of shelving on what would be the north elevation. So this would be kind of what's there existing. And if we could go to the next slide there. Yeah, so this is what's kind of proposed along the north is we've got some windows kind of at the corner, which will be nice and open, let some nice natural light into that retail space, which doesn't currently exist. And then as you get further down, headed towards the west, we kind of mimic those windows and those larger openings with some variation and some masonry. And then we have a board and batten metal panel in kind of a charcoal color. That mixed with the red, which is kind of ACE, kind of that elevate ACE Hardware colors and design style. Again, with a mix of textures and colors that will really hopefully kind of heighten and enhance kind of the north end of that building.
All right, thank you. What questions do we have? Brian?
If I'm seeing that right, that includes the facade improvement in the front of the building as well?
Yes, yeah, as you wrap around kind of that front, the northeast corner, it'll tie in with the existing ephes, but that will get recoated and repainted. And then there is kind of a step back because of the site plan and the kind of vision triangle that we need at that corner, which was kind of comments from Strand. We stepped the building back a little bit at that corner, which kind of creates a little bit of relief there. with some steel accent to turn that corner a little bit, and then some masonry at the base.
Thank you.
Joe?
I'm kind of wondering, when we look at the west elevation there, is there a reason that we wouldn't be able to continue that same kind of look further down that side?
Here.
Yeah,
So this is the transition between existing and new.
okay.
So we're trying to tie in the masonry. There's existing masonry on the back of that
Oh,
building.
so it would match that?
Yeah, so we're trying to tie,
Okay.
yeah, the existing masonry is a kind of a fluted masonry that isn't
Yep.
made really anymore, but we're trying to match it as close as possible. And then if the propane fill station is there, it would be right at that transition. So there would be there'd be a security fence there and to enclose that,
Okay.
that propane tank
So
fill
you-
station.
You had talked about the blast wall. I'm assuming that that would be part of the new construction, but would there be any retrofit to the old?
No, it would be all part of the new construction. Yeah, and it would have returns on a masonry returns on it.
Okay.
So it'd be a 12-inch deep masonry wall kind of in front of the new construction,
Okay. That's all.
but the
Tricia?
block would match and everything.
First, a comment. I am excited about this opportunity for ACE to expand. I think it's a great asset for Waunakee. I know personally, I don't know too many stores where I go there 5 times in one day on some occasions. So it's a great thing to have in the community. So I love that you're able to grow here. The only question I have is more probably for Lauren, and just I'm assuming that the building inspector and the fire inspector will weigh in on the propane. I think their opinion on that location and what's being done to satisfy it would be the only question I would have.
Yeah, so I talked to the fire inspector and he would be fine with a blast wall as long as it's up to building codes. So that wouldn't be a problem. It would just be a procedural issue with getting that variance for the Board of Appeals.
Okay. Thanks.
Sue?
I have any questions. I don't know how hard it is to get through the board. Oh, sorry. I don't have any questions. I didn't know how hard it was to get through the Board of Appeals.
Yeah.
It can be difficult.
Yeah, sometimes, yeah.
But
depending
no,
on what
I'm
issues.
happy to see them expand too. I go there at least
Yeah.
5 times. I don't.
Yeah, yeah. Mike, any questions, comments?
Yeah, just a couple. So if I understood right, that blast wall, that takes care of any, so obviously it takes care of going into the building, right? But then are there any other things that is addressing, like it had to be a certain distance from lot lines and all that kind of stuff? Everything's covered as far as that blast wall takes care of all of it?
Yeah, everything would be covered. So if the way we looked at it is that if we move the propane tank 10 feet away from the building and it was in the middle of that drive aisle, we would be compliant with all the codes. So we wouldn't have to build a blast wall at all. It would just be in the middle of that driveway. We could do that. So we figured, well, to be safe, we would put it up to the building, build the blast wall to protect the building and its occupants within it. Probably, and be safer than it would be even 10 feet away from the building,
Right.
to be honest with you. And then it will have masonry sides to it, so you're actually even more protected. And then a gate fence, security fence in front of it. So there would not necessarily be anything in front of it, but it wouldn't require it. And then you're another 30 feet to the property line, and then there's the sidewalk and the street. So there's really nothing, in front of it unless somebody was driving by or parked there, from a delivery standpoint aspect. But there's nothing there, and to the side of it, the entrance, the back entrance into Ace is another 30 or 40 feet to the south. And so right now there's just to the south of that would be their dumpsters. So it's still kind of protected. It's probably better protected than it is now, because right now it's adjacent to the cars, the parking lot and the fire access easement.
Right.
Right now.
So is it just a tank exchange, or is there's actually gonna be bulk
Right now, there's a bulk tank
that they can fill off of? Right?
Yeah, they
Okay.
fill small tanks with.
All right.
And they, what they use that for, if I'm correct in that, is that, you'll get propane tanks for forklifts from contractors. The fire department gets tanks for their use.
Grills.
It's not just,
Mhm.
yeah, grill, you know, if anybody, you know, residential tanks, fills, that sort of thing. So.
The other thing I was gonna ask about, if you wouldn't mind, could you go back to that picture of the existing site? If that's possible? The one that's actually like a picture of the existing where it shows the side of the building where there's parking spots and that.
Next.
There you go. And that, this actually, so, I'm just wanting to confirm, anything that's on the north side there now would be moving to that new sort of out in the parking lot spot. The thing I was thinking of is, you know, if you look at the one picture on the left there, it's got the bags of like mulch and topsoil and stuff. That works now because there's parking spots there, but if everything moves, that would kind of be in the fire lane, but if that's all moving out into the.
That all,
Where?
yeah, that all goes away.
Okay.
Essentially, the garden center structure, from what I understand with Travis, it gets larger, you know, it'll get larger and incorporate a lot of that palletized
Right,
things.
okay,
And you won't, it cleans up that whole area.
okay, perfect.
Is my understanding, is that a lot of that palletized stuff won't happen anymore. And then it also gives them the opportunity to store a lot of that inside as well.
Nice.
That's along the back of the building.
Yep.
So they're trying to we're creating, by doing the addition, we're also creating more indoor storage for them. And increasing their back storage area of the retail, inside retail space.
That sounds good. I think it would be a great addition to the mall. Thanks.
Right, Joe?
Just one additional question that I had relating primarily to signage. Is there any plan to change the main sign out here on the east side for the mall? Okay. At some point, I would love to see something that's a little less obstructive to the views there, but if that's not part of this, that's fine. So.
All right, let's.
Well,
Other.
yeah, speaking of signs though, because we have our sign ordinance, or our sign code stuff. But they're probably just using the existing sign, or is it getting enhanced?
As of right now, there's no change in the sign.
Okay,
That
on the
Travis is
building
looking at.
itself.
Yeah.
Okay.
Any other questions? Comments? No? See none, do we have a motion? I would.
Recommend to, a conditional approval of the site plan pending final resolution of outstanding notes to the satisfaction of the community development director.
Second.
All right, any discussion on the motion? See none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Looking forward to the expansion. I think we all go there 5 times a day
Yeah.
when we're doing our projects. so.
Change a doorknob.
Yeah. Yeah. So, oh, absolutely. All right, we have a joint plan commission report, which is
It's canceled.
canceled. All right, no reports. And with that,
Move to adjourn.
all right,
Second, yeah.
Right.
all right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, look at that, you guys, 23 minutes.